Hi, in this video I will give you the overview of blockchain and we'll learn about some blockchain vocabulary, architecture behind the Hyperledger fabric solutions, difference between world state and ledger, difference between public and private blockchain, and how a client application will invoke a smart contract. So if we'll talk about blockchain, blockchain is a shared, immutable ledger for recording transaction, tracking assets, and building trust. Basically, an asset can be tangible, like a house, car, cash, or any land. If we'll talk about intangible, then we have intellectual property, patent, copyrights, or branding. Basically, you can track and trade virtually anything of value on a blockchain network, reducing risk and cutting cost of everything involved. If we'll talk about security, think of privacy as being the opposite of anatomy. Anatomy means you know something happened but not who did it. And privacy, you know who did something but not what they did. So mostly businesses have KYC requirement which necessarily privacy rather than anatomy. So in blockchain, there are three type of blockchains are there: public blockchain, permission blockchain, or private blockchain, you can say, and third is federated or consortium blockchain. So public blockchain, like a public or a permissionless blockchain network, is one where anyone can participate without any restrictions. Most types of cryptocurrencies run on a public blockchain that is governed by a rule or consensus algorithm, where identity is always anonymous. Or second one is private blockchain or permissioned blockchain. So a private or permissioned blockchain, this blockchain will allow organizations to set controls on who can access blockchain data, and only users who are granted permission can access a specific set of data. So if I will give any cloud blockchain platform example, then Oracle blockchain platform is a permissioned blockchain. Third one is federated or consortium blockchain. So a blockchain network where the consensus process, or you can say mining process, is closely controlled by a pre-selected set of nodes or pre-selected number of shareholders. So that is called consortium blockchain. So basically a ledger, if we'll talk about a ledger, like a ledger often consists of two data structure. So in order to understand how developer interact with ledger, it is important to know note that there are two data structure that are needed in order for the system to work. That is somewhat dependent on the blockchain implementation, but mostly work in the same way. So first one is the blockchain itself. Basically, blockchain is a chain of blocks that are used to hold transaction data. As we see on the like this is blockchain is immutable, meaning that the data on this structure cannot be tampered with. There is also data stored needed to hold any variable that is manipulated as part of this transaction. Think about blockchain as storing the input parameter of a transaction. For example, if I'm transferring my car from person one, suppose I'm transferring my car to a person B, right? The world state as storing the output, that is, uh, my car is currently owned by me, right? So that is world state actually. Okay, so why do we need this both world state and and the blockchain state both? Actually, think of transaction to transfer currency from one party to another party. So how do you know how much balance the sending party has in order to see if the transaction can be completed? If you only had the blockchain linked list, you would need to traverse the entire chain every time you wanted to check the balance. So which is time consuming, right? And also increasingly the chain will grow. every time you check the balance. By sorting current balance, in a data store, right, you can look into this information up more quickly and every time you wish to, and it will not generate the new chain as well, right? So that's why we need a world state where quickly you can access without creating a new chain, right? And apart from that, world state data you can delete, right? Because this will not affect your blockchain data, and this is just for you. So so what is Hyperledger Fabric? The modular architecture allows innovation and flexibility, allowing components such as consensus and membership service, or to be anything like in if you're working with cloud-based blockchain or managed blockchain, then you can plug and play as well, right? So apart from that, Hyperledger Fabric is open source and contributed by hundreds of engineers from tens of organizations as well. And it has many features like smart contract that update the ledger, consensus that will sync ledger across the networks, and the privacy. We'll talk about actors in blockchain solutions. This shows the major actor within blockchain network and what they are doing within blockchain. The details you can see here, like if we start with blockchain developer, blockchain developers create applications like front-end application or the smart contract. Blockchain architect, it will design the architecture of blockchain networks. Regulator and blockchain user who will do the transaction, B2B transaction. Membership services that will access security certificate and other things, and traditional data source that will access to the data, and traditional processing platform that will access the logic, and operators like blockchain network operator will operate the blockchain networks. Mainly I'll talk about the blockchain developers. So blockchain developers basically, if we are simplifying things slightly, but making an assumption that blockchain developer is responsible for developing the end user application and the smart contract that are deployed to the blockchain. So no application operates in isolation. So they will need to integrate it with existing processing platform and data source, as well as figure out what they want to use the ledger for. So we are assuming that developer is interested in the data formats and wire protocol that will allow them to integrate with this system to record the ledger. Okay, so but we have no access, but developer will not have access to the production system that will carry the live data. Now we'll talk about component in blockchain solutions. So here you can say that ledger is the list of transactions maintained by peers, and smart contract is a software program that will run on the peers. It will update the world state basically. World state, as I told you, that data you can view only. And peer networks which reach consensus to the ad block. And membership will authenticate and manage the identity on the network. Event, basically it will emit notifications of operations on the networks. And then system management will enable us to create and monitor the blockchain component. So wallet will securely manage a user's credential. And if we'll talk about system integration, it will integrate blockchain with the external system. So one more keyword that I spoke about, smart contract. Smart contract basically will contain the business logic, and it will deploy to the peers, and it will interact with the world state through the Fabric SIM interface. And the language that are supported for smart contract in Hyperledger Fabric is Golang, Node.js, Java. So all those languages basically you can use for creating a smart contract application.